Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here. Part one, Wayne's World here on the Ice ASTV. Thanks to our sponsors, Doak Spoke Fuels, Case Financial, AETI International, Pilot Mount Hockey Academy, which will be part two. Of course, Toby Hockey. Wayne, I think I just caught my breath. Did you just catch your breath from this past weekend as well?
Yeah, she was a pretty frantic weekend, I guess, of traveling and spending long days in the rink and stuff. But again, as I've talked numerous times, it's great to be back in the rinks and seeing live hockey.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, so I saw on your personal social media post, plus or minus over under 12 times, you were asked if you're related to your son on the weekend.
I'm going to say that was the overs. It was incredible. I guess it's the passing of the guard and stuff. So, yeah, when they see my last name, it seems like they know him a lot better than me, I guess.
Well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's better to be left infamous as opposed to famous, right?
It can be. It can be.
We'll ask Billy the Kid that if he was back in the day. Nonetheless, let's talk about the past weekend for you, the Ajhl Showcase that occurred. Give us a little bit of the idea of the participants, the amount of scouts, overall feedback of the weekend.
Yeah, just some general stuff. I mean, it involved all the teams from the Alberta Junior Hockey League. So every team in the league played 2 games over the course of, I think it was 4 days. I was only able to attend 2 of the 4 days. And, you know, I think that was pretty common talking to numerous NHL, college scouts, WHL scouts, USHL scouts, is that hard for a lot of the guys to commit 4 days. And in particular, the NCAA guys, because their schedules are starting up. So some of the guys had to fly in on the Thursday and fly out either Friday night or early Saturday to catch Saturday games back in their home arenas and stuff like that. And so it was great. I mean, it was well attended, just a ton of NHL scouts. That's probably my number one impression that came out of the weekend. Most teams had two scouts there, some 3. So obviously a lot of attention looking at particularly the new 2004 class, but also, you know, some of the late bloomers in the 2003 and 2002. And of course, there was some already NHL drafted players there playing for the teams. And so there were some of the teams just keeping tabs on their players. And so then in addition to that, just a ton of NCAA Div 1 teams, some Div 3 teams, and also some ACHA teams they're looking for players. So very well attended by the scouts and quite a few fans there, particularly for the Brooks home game because it was in Brooks, Alberta, and just some great hockey.
Brooks has a fairly good squad annually, correct? If I might say so myself?
Yeah, it pretty much turns over almost the entire team from my perspective each year, and they go out and find a bunch of new hired guns, and a lot of times the players are already previously committed. You know, there's Quebec players, I think Ontario players, a lot of Western Canadian players that they, you know, draw to. And I mean, just one example would be Huey Hooker that they got from Winnipeg Blues, who was a kid that not committed yet, but certainly there was a lot of scout attention on young Huey Hooker. And, you know, from all the Western provinces, they're just able to draw just because, you know, it could be a bit of the money thing that they have the money to pull players in and, you know, provide the good things. It's a great arena, a great program, and get a lot of attention, of course.
Not only the attention, but when you talk about a program, it's tradition. We've talked about other programs in the USHL as well that have those materials and those monetary values available compared to other programs. It makes it a lot more attractive for players and parents to be affiliated with them, but also to have that moniker saying, I now go to play with Brooks, or now I play with a certain team. And you know, we can't deny it. I mean, a lot of these programs have their perks.
Absolutely, there's absolutely no denying that. And I mean, you cite a Brooks in the Alberta Junior League. You know, Okotoks might be, you know, in that range type thing. You move over to the BCHL, you've got the Penticton Vs, of course, and stuff. And you know, I think the SJ and the MJ are a little bit more level type thing and stuff, but again, always seems to be a couple teams in the league that, you know, maybe have more financial resources or you know, just a flat out better program and are able to draw better type thing. So it does create a little bit of an inequality at times type thing, but in the end of the day, some great games in the Alberta Junior Hockey League, despite that disparity in the finances and stuff that teams have available to them.
You talk about the MJ and the SJ kind of having that similarity. BC and Alberta, I've seen a lot more attention to players deciding to play in that AJ BC junior level as opposed to playing in the Western Hockey League. Now, is that because of schedule? Is that because of coaching? Is that because of, tell me some of the reasons why some of that might be occurring, Wayne?
Well, number one, first and foremost, is to maintain your college eligibility in the NCAA. So as soon as you play with a WHL team, you lose your NCAA eligibility. So that's probably the number one thing. So kids got to decide at a relatively early age: are they going to move on to the WHL, or are they going to remain in Junior A and keep their eligibility? And so what that does lead to is, the players do move around. The BCHL is probably the number one drawing league. I would say, AJ's number two probably, and probably put Manitoba third and Saskatchewan training close behind Manitoba. But, it's kind of a domino effect, because what really happens is, say you got an elite player in Saskatchewan, and he's 16 years old, but he wants to go college, he thinks. So typically he's going to be WHL drafted because he's a very good player. A lot of those guys will want to go out to BC, and there is some ways getting around. Maybe the parents have to move, or they have to set up an address, to have local status in BC. So they'll move out there to, get the exposure that, they need and want. Some will move to Alberta because, again, there is better exposure there. And what ends up happening is it creates a lot of movement, because you got the elite Saskatchewan guys saying, I'm just using it as one example, it happens in every province, but they'll move, say, to Alberta. Well, then that takes an Alberta spot. Then you'll see some Alberta players coming to, say, Saskatchewan or to Manitoba. And so you end up with a lot of players playing not in their home province. And it's kind of, funny in a way. And I think some of these leagues need to really focus on keeping local players as much as they can, because it draws fans. And if you have a local player playing on your team, it's not only the parents, it's the siblings, it's the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, all that stuff that come to the game and buy tickets. And we all know all the Junior A franchises, for the most part, are starved for cash.
Absolutely. Talk about the monetary values of the organization, but the organization still has bills to pay, and without fans in the stands, those bills don't get paid. And it's recurring, it's a cyclical thing, Wayne, like you mentioned. So we talked a little about the Alberta Junior. We've got a couple of other showcases on tap this fall. One in particular that I'm looking forward to is one that's visiting Manitoba this upcoming near December, I believe, where the SJ is coming to Manitoba to have their showcase together. BC's doing something similar a little bit sooner as well.
Right. Yeah. And so there's a couple of things that'll be happening in Manitoba this year. First of all, there's going to be the MJHL internal, their own league showcase, which I believe is later in November, and that'll be in Portage. And then for the past 3 years, there has been an MJHL, SJHL showcase, where they kind of have the young guns play against the young guns of the other league, and two of the older players teams play against, interleague play. And then this year, I guess it is going to be in Winnipeg for the first time, so in the fourth go around. So that'll be great to see. And, I think it's a good thing to move it around. Obviously, it's a lot fairer to Manitoba. And I think in some ways, Winnipeg can be an easier center to fly into for some of these, college scouts, and certainly into the NHL scouts that might be interested in stuff too. So I think, it's going to be exciting to see how that turns out, and I think it'll do well.
Are you making the trip to Manitoba, Wayne?
I sure hope so. I haven't looked that far down the schedule, but I've been to the last 3 years here in Regina, and I found it really, really good. And, not only for me to look at the players and stuff like that, but certainly to network with all the college guys and work with them. And, overall, it's just a good time to have a couple cold ones at the end of the day.
Yeah, a couple of those Pepsis are okay upstairs in the press box, I believe, at Bell MTS Iceplex. One thing I'm curious to see, Wayne, is how each league, obviously I would love to see a, prior to like a Western Canadian Championship, more of like a setting stone or a benchmark at the beginning of the year to see certain teams as they play against each other amongst the leagues. Do you ever think we could see all 4 Western provinces have something like this, have a Western Canadian provincial showcase, let's say around Canadian Thanksgiving, perhaps? Do you see something like that occurring?
I've never honestly thought about that concept, but it certainly has some merit now that you mention it. I mean, I think that would create a lot of interest. Certainly fans like to see new teams, new players. They read and hear about these kids from different provinces and give them an opportunity to see them. But, obviously, again, some of the challenges I would see to that is costs of travel and accommodations for those teams to go interprovincial. And then there's also some rule differences between the leagues. I mean, obviously, the Saskatchewan Junior still allows 8 20-year-olds. I think Manitoba's cut it back to 6. And, I know the AJ and BC keep it down lower too. So, it just creates a little bit of disparity there. But I really like the idea. It would be a fantastic thing that if you could have some of those games and count towards the points and stuff like that. And I think that would help rejuvenate some fan interest that are tired of seeing the same teams over and over again.
I think it would create that next level competition, but not to the same degree as the Western Hockey League, I think, where we see the Dub teams traveling with not just within the East Division, but they will make a couple of trips further out west. Unfortunately, the American teams don't get to participate this year thus far, but I mean, it would be great to see interprovincial or cross-provincial exhibitions per se, to see where not necessarily the top teams, but maybe the relegated teams have a chance to show off some of their talents in a potential different exhibition.
Absolutely. And I think a couple things happen too with this whole Canadian Championship. I mean, you see Estevan and the Saskatchewan Juniors hosting this year, so they've absolutely loaded up and brought in some guys at the Quebec Major Hockey League and made a ton of trades. And, regretfully, he's bumped off some local kids, but, ultimately, I guess that's the way it worked. These teams want to build a contender just, when they're hosting to compete and hopefully win that championship. But surprisingly, Estevan hasn't been doing as well as I expected him to early in the season, but it'll be interesting to see. And, the other comment I make, and I've been, just a big fan of this, that, the older players, like I think with the WHL, it's a younger league for the most part. I mean, kids go into that league at 16, 17, 18, but they also play until they're 21. And I think, Junior A, particularly in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, I think would be really wise to make themselves younger leagues and be a feeder system to both the WHL and NCAA. And, the example I use is the Okotoks Oilers have an extremely young team this year. But, I mean, the NHL scouts and the Div 1 NCAA scouts, they were, dripping at the mouth watching that game and stuff because it was by far the most anticipated game because all the 2004s and 2005s, lots of 2003s. And, there was a couple of Div 1 committed kids on there, but there's also a few more that were very, very, good and generated a lot of interest. But, there's still WHL teams that have those kids protected. So they were there watching and stuff too. And so, I've harped on this for a long time, but I see the model going forward really should be to go younger and get everybody in the league to agree on it. But what happens is one team disagrees and still loads up with 20s and, kicks the crap out of these younger teams. So you have to somehow create rules to create parity, but make yourself a development league. I think that's the most successful model. And we've seen it a bit last year with the COVID season, and a lot of the WHL guys came back to some of the SJ teams and MJ teams. And I think the fans loved it, even though they, couldn't go as many fans as wanted, but watching online, I heard a lot of interest because a lot of these guys were NHL drafted and WHL superstars and playing in these centers. And so that was exciting.
Absolutely. You talk about maturity between a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old is leaps and bounds. And Wayne, like you said, players like that are 20 that want to go play for a championship opportunity like in Estevan, they're going to do what they got to do. I mean, we can't change that idea. So really appreciate the conversation we had tonight. We're going to continue with it next week as we talk about more about that age disparity and attracting those players to those potential clubs. Like you mentioned, Okotoks, a really young team. Brooks, they seem like they have a brand new roster every year. We're only talking about Alberta. We'll look into BC and Saskatchewan as well and see how their rosters change throughout the season. Thanks for joining me, Wayne, on this edition of Wayne's World. Coming up next in part 2, I get to be joined by 2 of the U17 Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy female players this year. They're more the veterans of the team, helping lead the new beginners, as well as their futures not only this season, but potentially upcoming as they look for their next journey as a student athlete involving hockey and academics. Stay with us here on the ice as we welcome the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy U17 females to the show here on the ice. Thank you, everybody, joining us here on the ice here, ASTV. Joining me, Davana Ditto and Morgan Setti. Good evening, ladies. How was today so far in beautiful Pilot Mountain? Did it feel like autumn or did it feel more like July?
Definitely more like July.
More like June.
More like June? Okay, Morgan, tell me why we got a little disparity. What's going on? What's the difference here? It wasn't 38 degrees, sorry.
It was hot out, that's why.
It was hot, no doubt. So tell me a little bit about this last month being in Pilot Mountain. This isn't your first time around. You've been here a couple of years. Has it been a little different this year, getting ready, prepared, being the veterans on the team compared to previous years?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit of the difference. I mean, what was it like? Remember the days when you first showed up in Pilot Mountain, the very first day, seeing the locker room, meeting all your new teammates, and now the script is kind of flipped. You're now kind of the veterans on the team. And how is it a different approach for the both of you?
It's definitely been quite a change. A lot of the new girls kind of looking to us for answers instead of us being the ones asking the questions. I would say it's been an eventful first month.
Absolutely, yeah. Tell me about the some of those questions. What was the weirdest question you had to answer this year, Davana?
Oh man,
There's so many.
I don't even know.
Did anybody get lost?
I don't think anybody's gotten lost yet.
That's good.
It's kind of hard to get lost in Pilot Mountain, but so far I think we've been pretty good with the new girls and them understanding things.
Awesome. How is has your schedule, your daily schedule changed from this year to previous years? And what I mean by that is, are you worried more about getting on time to school, the practice in the evening time? Have we gone to morning practices? How have your schedules changed in the last month?
We have morning workouts every week now.
Oh, it's hard to get up for? Are you ready to go? Or is it one of those things where you got to drag yourself out of bed and be like, okay, now we got morning workout?
It's hard to get up.
It's hard to get up? Okay.
Yeah.
How have the teachers been with the scheduling of homework and assignments thus far? Have they been able to work with you a little bit more and realize that the first month is kind of like a learning curve and getting used to your schedule and making sure that you have the right time and the right time management?
Yeah, the teachers here are always pretty good with us being on the road and just the academy kids in general. We've never really had any problems with it. Usually the teachers are pretty understanding of everything.
Morgan, do you have a favorite class this year so far?
Yes, I do actually. Woodworking.
Woodworking, fabulous. What kind of, I never had the experience of woodworking or those types of classes. So give us an idea of what's working with the hands.
Cutting some wood and gluing it together.
Are you making your own hockey stick, maybe? Old school style?
Sorry?
Making your old school hockey stick, perhaps?
No, more like shelves and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Davana, what's your favorite class thus far in the first month of school?
Probably biology.
Okay. Senior years, like grade 12 biology, is that what we're working on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. That's an interesting class. Have we got any dissections happening thus far?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Are you handy with the scalpel? Or are you more kind of hesitant with the knife?
I don't know. I think I'd be pretty good with it.
Considering the skills I've seen on the ice from both of you ladies this year, uh, certainly you'd be very handy with the steel. I think both of you would do very well. Great hands around the net, great composure, helping lead this team. What have been some of the learning curves for the younger players you've had to give to them in terms of advice, in terms of keeping their heads above water and trying to keep a positive energy throughout the first part of this month?
Usually in the first month, it's a big learning curve. Everybody's away from home, usually for the first time. Usually we try and stay pretty busy. So there's not a whole lot of time to miss home. Definitely with adapting to playing games every weekend, practicing every day. It's a big adjustment for a lot of people, but so far I think the new girls have adjusted fairly well to it.
So let's go back just a little bit. Your first couple of weeks when you first showed up in Pilot Mound, was it hard to get used to going to school and playing hockey every day, or was that just one of the beauties of going to the hockey academy in Pilot Mound?
For me, I was already used to it because I had already been in an academy setting the year before. So for me, it was pretty normal and it wasn't too hard to adjust to.
Morgan, how about yourself? Was it a little bit, was it easier for you to realize that the schedule was made for you, or did you prefer to have a little more liberties, a little more downtime so that you could do other things?
Yeah, I like the schedule we had. It took me time to get used to it, though.
No doubt, no doubt.
It took a lot to come out of my shell and talk to everyone.
Absolutely.
Time the first year, but now I'm just a very talkative person. Who doesn't?
Perfect. How's the dorm life this year as being the veterans on the team compared to when you first broke into the program?
It's awesome because now I have the bigger room.
One of the perks of being the veteran on the team, right, Morgan?
You? How's dorm life for you, Savannah?
I love my dorm life. It's been pretty good. I live at the end of the hall, so it's not too noisy down where I am.
A long walk.
I was gonna say, if you're stuck in the middle, it's a little more noisy, correct? You got to have a lot more passing of the feet.
Oh yeah, you're right beside the laundry room and everything. So
Perfect. We talked about a little dorm life. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. What's our favorite meal?
Pizza.
Pizza.
And chicken.
Okay.
I definitely have to say I like lunch.
Oh, supper. Oh, supper. Yeah, I like supper.
There we go. Yeah.
Chicken.
Morgan's just jumping right in. She's good. Just you keep going, girl. I like that. That's just fire right in. Morgan, I was able to watch a lot of your games over the last couple of years, and you definitely broke out of your shell middle of the season last year when they needed goal scoring, and you had, I believe, twice as many goals as assists last year. This year, you've kind of started that same trend. What has been your the way you view your game and being that much better of a goal scorer and working and developing that part of your game more so?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Sure. I've noticed that you're a lot more of a goal scorer. Is that something you were just attracted to, just to be that girl that can put the puck in the net?
Yeah, playing hockey all my years, I've always scored goals. So I guess it's just in me.
It's just your natural instinct.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Devana, you're more the two-way player, a little more, I don't want to say responsible, but like you definitely have more of an all-round game. Would you agree?
Yeah, being on defense, I definitely like to skate the puck, but I still have to get back and worry about the other end of the ice.
Absolutely. New coaches this year. How have the coaches been with you as a group? And what has been their general message given to you as veterans to help the new players on the team?
I like Cass. She's a really good coach with the group, and she's experienced as well with like D1 and stuff. So she's teaching us a lot of new things. Off ice, she's a really good person too. I like her.
Yeah, she's taken more charge in our workouts. So they're a lot more intense, especially this year, which I think is nice. I think it gives us a little bit extra.
Certainly a different perspective from a coaching perspective. Cass has been on the show a couple of times. She's really enjoyed her first month coaching the team. Moving ahead now, regular season's started or just about to start. Do we have some personal goals, some team goals for the regular season this year?
Team goals we're still working on. We have our team objectives that we work on every game, which will obviously carry into the regular season. But as the regular season comes on, I think our team will be able to pick out more specific goals that we want to work on.
And for the both of you, are both of you graduating this year, or Morgan, are you coming back as well? Are you coming back?
I'm graduating, I hope.
And Devana, you're graduating as well this year?
Yes, I am.
So I guess the next question is, what's next for both of you? Are we planning on continuing to play hockey, going back home, university, college career? What are we thinking? Like, what's our goals there?
University hockey.
Yeah, my plan is to go on to play university hockey.
Perfect. Do you have a specific area geographically you're looking at, or just want to have the opportunity to go play at the next level?
For me personally, I'm more focused down in Ontario universities right now.
I'm looking in Boston.
Very cool. So both of you want to head out east. It's beautiful out there. It's a good space to be. Devana, if there was one message, or if there was one thing you could tell players that aren't in the program but are thinking about hockey academy life, because you've done it now in 2 different programs, what would be the one message you would give to future players that are possibly going to attend Pilot Mount?
I would say to definitely throw yourself fully into it. Don't hold back whenever you get here. The quicker that you get adjusted to the life here, and the quicker that you give your 110% and buy in to what they're trying to teach you, it makes your life here a lot better and a lot easier. And in the end, it's going to make you a better all-around player and person.
Fabulous. Morgan, how about yourself? If you had to tell players from small communities, large communities, looking for that management skill program at a hockey academy like Pilot Mountain, what kind of message would you give to younger players?
Just be yourself, have fun, stay out of the drama, and give it 100%.
Stay out of the drama. Speaking of drama, have we had our karaoke session yet with the team chemistry playing?
Oh yes, of course we have. It was
Of
done.
course, that's like the annual tradition, right?
Oh yeah.
So, any tidbits on who's the best singer, so we can ask them next time they're on the show?
I think our
Me.
winner this year.
Oh,
Our winner this year was Haley Hanaki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My first year, I was the winner.
Right, Morgan. I do remember hearing about that. Now, did you go with the same song, Morgan? Did you have to sing this year, or is it only the rookies?
Only the rookies.
Only the rookies. Okay, so how many rookies are on the team? And you said we had one distinctive winner.
I think, how many rookies do we have this year?
About 8 or 9.
8 or 9. And Hanaki won this year.
What song? What was the winning song?
Slim Shady.
Slim Shady.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Little halftime show reaction, perhaps. Did you make Coach Cass sing? Because she's a rookie, too.
No, we still got to get on her. We have a couple more new girls that still got to do it, so we might have to.
Okay. Very good. Well, Devanna and Morgan, I want to thank you very much. I know you have a very busy evening ahead of you, lots of extra schoolwork and curriculums to take care of. Really appreciate you taking the time. Good luck this weekend. Are we playing this weekend?
Yes.
And where are we playing?
I believe we're playing in Winnipeg this weekend.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we get to come up to the big city. Good luck to your games this weekend. And thanks for joining me here on the ice, ladies.
Thanks for having
Thank you.
me.
Always a pleasure, and look forward to hearing how the rest of the season goes. Take care, ladies. We'll talk to you next time. And there you have it, Devanna Ditto and Morgan Setti from the U17 Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy female program. Thanks for watching here on the ice. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Toby Hockey, the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy itself, Dokes Book Fuels, and Case Financial Group, bringing more goodness to the greatness here on the ice. Tuesdays and Thursday nights. We'll be looking forward to seeing you Thursday. Also, look for possibly tomorrow night. We're going to rebuild the Coaches Parlay Show. We're going to have our panel of self-esteemed and well-endowed group of individuals that know a lot about hockey, a lot about junior hockey, and they're going to have a good time talking with me. Tomorrow night, that'll be at 7 o'clock here on the network ASTV. Again, thanks for watching. Be good to yourself, be good to your neighbors, and as always, have a great rest of the evening and enjoy this beautiful weather we're having. And take care. Welcome to Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot Mountain Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.